Welcome back to Extra Holiday Games. I'm Extra Holiday, and I've just felt like putting a little extra emphasis on that this time. I am actually feeling relatively satisfied. I talked a couple episodes back about how I don't feel super satisfied with what I've done today in terms of productivity, but I still have a little bit of leftover satisfaction from finally beating the last of the Learn Japanese to Survive games on stream. That's been a long time coming. And I think I started streaming three and a half months ago. I think it was about 3 months ago that I started those games. And that was kind of meant to be the first big series on my streams. And I'm glad. I'm glad that it's finally done because, well, yes, they were somewhat fun and I definitely needed the refresher on my Japanese. They weren't like super fun in and of themselves. Like, they're not super amazing games. They're probably better than learning in a classroom, maybe. But I mean, I'd probably take playing that over doing actual homework. Yeah, okay, so that's the one I need to hang in the air a little bit for. But I don't know. I am kind of glad to be done with them. Because, yeah, the gameplay itself, especially in the first game and to a slightly lesser extent in the third game, and an even slightly lesser extent in the second game, kind of repetitive. And I mean, that it kind of makes sense. What's the phrase they say? Well, I mean, there's practice makes perfect, but that's not exactly the one I was thinking of. Something about repetition and learning, how you learn better when things are repeated. So, the fact that it's repetitive kind of makes sense, given that it is a learning game. So, okay, so this next one, I need to like hang in the air. Oh God, okay, I need to like wall jump that whole time. Okay. That was a lot longer than I needed to hang in there. Yeah, they're a little repetitive. I mean, if you're determined to learn Japanese and you're not keen on paying for an actual class, but you basically, if you want to learn not all of them, but get a basic grasp on Japanese and the characters that are involved, because it is a different writing system than the English-speaking writing system. If that's your goal, then they're not bad. You know, I could think of worse ways to do it. But they're certainly not games that I would go out of my way to play for fun. And that's kind of why, see, because I've had those games for quite a while. Oh, and I thought to myself, like, oh, this will be good for reviewing / learning Japanese. I took my hand off the controller there. It's great. When I originally got those games, I thought, oh yeah, this will be great for reviewing / learning more Japanese. And they're pretty good. They're pretty good for that. But I never got around to playing them until stream kind of gave me an excuse to. Because as I have mentioned before, this channel and stream are often what give me an excuse to do things that I wouldn't that I kind of want to do, but otherwise I wouldn't normally do. And yeah, the perfect example of that is playing the Learn Japanese to Survive games, because I really just couldn't bring myself to play it over playing other things when I wasn't streaming it. But because I streamed it, I was like, I'm gonna play all these games. I said that on stream. I was then committed. You know, I had made a promise. This is something I tend to do a lot with myself, particularly when it comes to my content, is I will make a promise, not because I know. Basically, I'll make a promise to force myself to do something. I'll make a promise to other people to force myself to do the thing. That's why, you know, I had promised. I'll beat this game. I'll beat this series of games. Or, in general, I have kind of made an implicit promise that I will beat all the games that I play on this channel. Because that's something I want to do, but I don't know that I could bring myself to do if I hadn't promised it to someone. It's like when the guys called me about D&D, they were like, hey, can you promise that we're gonna play on this day? And I hesitated for a second because I was thinking like, oh, is that practical? Do I have enough time to do prep? And the answer was yes. But after that, I was like, and then I was deciding, like, do I promise this to them? And I decided yes, because I wanted to play D&D on that day, right? I wanted to give them their 7th session. And promising them that it would happen gave me more motivation to actually work on it, you know? And I didn't get everything I wanted to get done, but I probably could have run it with what I had. Shit, I have to jump short on that one. So yeah, a lot of the times it works. But also, it's also a very good way to put more stress on yourself. You know, put more pressure on yourself. And sometimes that's not what you need. Sometimes you don't need more pressure to get things done more efficiently. Sometimes you need the opposite. Sometimes you need to tell yourself, no, it's okay if I don't do this. Right? And that's something I'm still working on, is being like, okay, I've done enough. I can relax for now. I don't need to be doing anything else. I did enough, right? So it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing. And I don't quite have a trick for that other part, the allowing yourself rest part. That's the one I'm still working on. I've got the making promises to motivate myself part pretty much down, but also I would like to know, I promised the guys we would play on that day. We didn't end up playing on that day, but it wasn't because of me, okay? Right? People got sick, and I can't control that. Technically, we could have played on that day, but there would have been it would have been me and 2 people in the party, and that's... Not only is that not what I planned for, that's also, it's just most of the party is missing out on it at that point. It's like, I don't know if that's worth it. I know at least one of our party members, assuming we play on the 1st, which is when we currently plan on playing. If we do play on that day, I was supposed to jump there. If we do play on that day, then there will be at least one party member missing because he got COVID, which is great. I've been considering whether or not we should play at all on that day, because one guy got COVID, and, you know, kind of makes you think, like, hey, maybe if people weren't going out and doing things constantly where they could catch COVID, that they wouldn't catch COVID, and then maybe it would all be over by now, and we wouldn't have to wear masks anymore or stand 6 feet apart. or anything like that. You know, maybe if people actually took this seriously, maybe it would have been over 3 months in. I'm not bitter. So yeah, I don't know. I'm considering just saying no to D&D on the 1st because, yeah, man's caught COVID. And I really just don't want to spread it anymore. Right, like, obviously, because he had it, he's not going to be there. I kind of already said that, but I want to emphasize it. Even if we do play, he is not going to be there to spread it. But who's to say that someone else at the table doesn't have it, right? Right, you don't know until the symptoms show up, and at that point, you've already been contagious for a while, so. That's how actually most contagious sicknesses seem to work. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I can't handle this pandemic all on my own. And it's easy to say, like, oh, well, nobody else is taking it seriously, so why would I bother? But that is the fallacy of the beard, which we have talked about before. It's the same reason people don't vote in elections, and it's the same reason people don't vote third party in elections, because they think, oh, I'm just one vote, I'm not gonna make a difference. It's bullshit. It's something that's only true because people think it's true. Because they think it's true, they act as if it's true, and because they act as if it's true, it makes it true. It's one of the most frustrating things for me. So, what do I do about it? I endeavor to act as if it's not true. Because it might be true. In fact, usually it is. But if there is any chance of making it untrue, then everybody, or at least the majority of people, have to act as if it is untrue. And that starts with one person, right? That starts with me, in my case. Right? If I'm not doing it, then how can I expect other people to act that way, you know? Yeah. And of course, that's not the only reason I haven't been associating with people more during the pandemic. Because I find that I am generally not, I generally don't feel, I think I've said before, I don't get lonely quite as easy as most people seem to. So maybe I'm just disproportionately unaffected by this sort of thing. But I don't think that excuses things. I really don't. Right? It might be easier for me, but that doesn't make it wrong for everyone else. You know. Not by necessity, at least. Okay. That one kills me all the time. I don't know. I don't like to preach. I really don't. But really, I'm just venting about what frustrates me in the current world. And you know, I kind of wanted to save this speech for a stream. But I'll say it here first. I used to be kind of confused at the notion of people getting upset at people. You know, back in the day, people would get upset if a stranger didn't hold the door open for them, right? That was considered a common courtesy, and if you didn't do it, then people would get, there's a potential that someone would get kind of mad at you for it. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand why. I was like, what? Well, it's just a door. Can't you get it yourself? Are you not capable of that? But that's the thing. Now I get it. I get it now. This pandemic has taught me why that was a thing. Because that opening of the door is effectively the same thing as wearing a mask, or wearing your mask properly, or not going outside and associating with people any more than you need to. Right? All the steps that we're supposed to take to get rid of COVID, or to prevent it from spreading so that, you know, it doesn't keep being a problem. And here, and let me explain how they're the same. When you open the door for someone, you don't know this person, right? This person is a stranger to you. There's no real reason, right? There's no reward in it for you, really. But what you're doing is you're showing that person, hey, I care about you, even though I don't actually know you. Right? You're essentially showing that you have a general care for people that you care for people in general, not just the people who are close to you. And that's important, right? That's important, especially in times like these, to care about people who aren't, you know, who aren't constantly affecting you in your life, right? Because if everyone did that, as I was talking about earlier, if everyone did that, then we wouldn't have a huge number of the problems we have now, right? I firmly believe that if everyone took this seriously because they just cared about people in general, that COVID would have been done with in 3 months, right? Or at least by when the vaccines came out, at the very least, everyone would have gotten them, and we wouldn't have had to worry about it anymore. It would die out, because that's what happens to a virus when it can't spread. It just dies out, right? Like polio. That's what happened to polio. So, yeah. Hey, here's a new part of the level. The general point I'm getting at is just, there's a lot of problems in the world that would be solved if people just could bring themselves to care about people they've never met. But maybe people will do that next time. Because, as for this episode, that's a wrap. Get myself all sorts of worked up here.